Another day and yet another Labour promise broken. What a surprise. We're now finding out that the government will be delaying its end to the use of migrant hotels to August 2029. They said they'd do it in 12 months, but surprise, surprise, they can't figure out how to do it. What on earth is going on? So we've now been told by the Home Office top civil servants, he's admitted that the aim is to get migrants out of hotels by the end of Parliament, i.e. The latest being August 2029. Well, that's a bit of a change of tune, because before we were told this. We were told that Labour would end the use of hotels for asylum seekers within 12 months of recruiting 1,000 caseworkers to tackle the backlog of applications. It's becoming quite a common theme in this Labour government now that they made big, bold promises before the general election, but when it actually comes to implementing them, they haven't got a clue. They just come up with random figures before an election that they know will get them votes and they know will please the public, without actually having any clue how on earth they'll deliver on said targets. They had no idea how they were going to end the use of migrant hotels. They gave us all this smash the gangs, rubbish rhetoric, but they had no idea what they were going to do. And the reason why I've highlighted this story to you is because this comes right after the Home Office, after freaking out about how well the Reform Party are doing in the polls and seeing that they're going to potentially lose a heck of a lot of seats to the Reform Party. They are freaking out and telling us how many people they've managed to deport. They've deported people by paying them to go. They've gone for the easiest deportations possible. And the numbers coming in, they just keep on coming. Okay. And the number of hotels being used is actually going up, which we'll look at in a second. This problem is not being brought under control at all. They have absolutely no clue how to deal with this problem. We were told that we were going to have some really strong new border force command as soon as Labour comes into power. They won the general election in July. And over the summer, when it was peak time for the boats to come in and we had perfect weather for it, they hadn't even appointed someone to head the new border force command. It took them until the autumn, after the weather is then getting a bit colder and more miserable and the boats slow down, to actually find someone. They literally are so incompetent, it is unbelievable. And if they've got any chance of beating Reform at the next general election, they need to sort this out. They need to get those hotels closed. Now, you might say, oh, but they might be moving in the right direction, okay? As long as the numbers are coming down, even if it's slowly, we're moving in the right direction. But no. The number of hotels in use has gone up. They've opened even more hotels since they came into power, okay? You can't make this shit up. The number of hotels had fallen to 213 by the time of the election that we had in July 2024. It's now gone up to 220. They've opened even more hotels, those extra hotels housing around 35,000. And we are finding out that we have had a 5-fold increase in the number of asylum applications being processed, which they absolutely love to boast about. But are they just giving everyone the rubber stamp, saying, yep, come on in, we're not going to bother to vet you, we're not going to bother to look at your application properly? Okay, the reality is you can speed up processing, but if you don't stop the boats coming in the first place, the problem's just going to get worse. In fact, if you speed up the processing of applications, that's going to draw more people to the country, because one of the things that I saw when I was travelling around in Europe and speaking to migrants is that one of the big reasons why they move from one country to another is so that they can go somewhere where asylum applications get processed faster. Now, I'm not saying that we should keep the processing time really long, because I think the long processing time is absolutely ridiculous and it costs us a heck of a lot of money with these hotels. But the reality is, if you bring down the processing time, that will act as a pull factor for more people to come from France to Britain. So you have to, as well as processing applications quickly, you have to do something to stop those boats arriving in the first place. We've been told that they're doing some stuff to freeze gang members' bank accounts, but is it really translating into fewer people coming across the channel? Obviously, these things take time, but there is no sign of it stopping because we have had 25,000 migrants arrive in the roughly half a year that Keir Starmer has been Prime Minister. So that's potentially going to put us on track to have, maybe around 50,000 over a year, which would be an all-time high, because I'm pretty sure the highest is 45,000 in a year. Rishi Sunak was actually, after a deal with Albania, able to get the numbers down to 30,000 a year. Things are potentially getting worse. And a lot of people say to me, let's get Miss Yvette Refugee Scooper up on the screen. A lot of people will say to me, oh, but the number of illegal migrants coming in, it's such a small number compared to the numbers of legal migration. This really isn't a problem for the country. Well, it is because of two things. So first of all, people who come here legally are not put up in a hotel at the taxpayer's expense for months and years on end whilst they wait for their claim to be processed. That is costing us, the asylum system is costing us about 6 billion a year. That is a shocking amount of money. At the same time as Rachel Reeves is stripping pensioners of their winter fuel payment just to save 1.5 billion because she's so desperate for cash. We cannot justify spending 6 billion a year on this system. Okay? It's just not possible. And then the other thing about, the numbers are so small, this is really not going to affect society that much. These hotels, they are very, very problematic. Even if there are only 35,000 people living in these hotels in total, the places where they're putting these hotels, it's wreaking absolute havoc. What they're doing is they are putting them in often very small rural communities and putting them up in hotels there. They're offering the hotel owners way, way more money to house these asylum seekers than they would get if they ran their hotel operation as normal as for tourists. So many of these hotel owners are saying yes because the cash is just too good to reject. But it's just completely changing the demographic of these communities overnight, flooding these communities with people who are just not integrated at all. Most of them can't even speak English. Clearly, we're seeing cases of them not sharing the same values and culture as us, which we'll talk about in a moment. So, for example, if you've watched my show that I'm in, Go Back to Where You Came From on Channel 4, you will have seen Jess in the show. Jess is, she lives in the house that is on the grounds of the hotel in Wales that was the one and only hotel to defy the Home Office and kick them out of property. So this hotel was owned by Jess's family, but then it was sold to someone else. But she continues to own the land around the hotel and to live in the house on the grounds there. And they then find out that the new owner of the hotel that has come in actually is going to house illegal migrants there. Now, what that was going to do was bring 400 men to a village that has 300 residents. So you're bringing in more people than the actual population of the village itself. And you're saying that's not going to cause havoc? It absolutely is. And also, these are men with nothing to do. They don't have work visas yet. They're not able to work. So they are just sat around doing nothing. Also, hotels will say you have to be out at a certain time. You've got to be out of your room. I believe this was the case here, that you were going to have migrants told that you have to be out your room by like midday or whatever every day. And then you can't be in the hotel. You need to go out. You need to go somewhere else. So they're just roaming around the town causing chaos. Just going round in gangs, basically. That's a recipe for disaster, is it? Put a group of 300-400 men at a time together with nothing to do. Doesn't matter where they're from. They're going to cause chaos. Okay? And then, you say, oh, you're just hypothesizing. No. We have evidence of this, okay? Dean's Hangar, just one example of many. Migrants from the hotel, supposedly, all going and standing outside the fucking primary school gates every day, looking at little kids, allegedly taking photos and videos of little kids. This is not good. This is not safe. You've got specific hotspots where they've put these hotels where entire communities are being completely devastated. That is not worth it. Okay? They need to sort this out. The hotels have to go. It is such a threat to women, to women and children, to put all these men together without their wives, without their children, with nothing to do, to just be let loose to roam around these communities and get up to whatever they get up to. Okay? Also, bear in mind, a lot of people, they're coming from countries where people getting married at the age of like 12, 13 is normal. Okay? So for these guys going up to some teenage schoolgirl and trying to talk to her and bother her, that's normal. It's normal in their country. Okay? Don't be so surprised by it. So it has to end, and the Home Office is just gaslighting us at the moment by trying to make it look like they are cracking down on mass migration, because they put out a few videos of them doing deportations and making it look like they're tough. But I'm sorry, you're not winning us over. This problem is not getting any better. They're not doing anything to stop the boats. It is a mess, and I doubt it's going to get better under Labour, and they're probably going to pay for it at the next election. If they don't sort this out, Reform are going to win the next general election. This is the one thing. If they sort this out, they might just have a chance. But I don't think they're going to, because I think they're absolutely hopeless and they've got absolutely no plan other than just shouting "smash the gangs" on every media round that they do. Anyway, I'm Chloe Dobbs. That is the latest on the Home Office and their pathetic attempts to stop the boats and deal with the illegal migration problem. Thank you for watching. Make sure you press the subscribe button below if you haven't already. See you next time.